The man who rewrote the skies. You're not on the list, sir. The words were soft, almost polite, but they cut like a blade. Dr. Marcus Tate paused, his hand still on the handle of his leather briefcase. The young woman at the Chicago O'Hare International Airport lounge desk didn't look up from her screen. Her eyes flicked over his plain navy sweater, his scuffed loafers, and the absence of a flashy badge. "This lounge is for priority members only," she added, her voice dropping. "If you're here for maintenance or catering, the service entrance is down the hall." Marcus said nothing. He could have told her he was the keynote speaker at the Global Aviation Summit happening in this very terminal. He could have mentioned that his company, Horizon Dynamics, powered the flight coordination systems for half the airports in North America. But he didn't. He stepped back, walked to a bench by the wall, and sat down. What would you have done? Spoken up? Flash credentials? Or let the silence build, collecting evidence? This is the story of one man who chose silence and then turned it into thunder. The O'Hare terminal was a symphony of glass and steel, with the hum of espresso machines and the clink of champagne flutes in the distance. Marcus opened a worn black notebook, its pages filled with 12 days of observations, gate agent dismissals, boarding line snubs, subtle slights based on appearance. He wrote, October 14th, O'Hare denied lounge access. No ID check. Appearance-based assumption. Pattern confirmed. This wasn't new. It was the 7th incident since Dallas. But this time, it was personal. 12 days earlier, Marcus had started an experiment. In New York, he wore a tailored suit and a Horizon Dynamics pin, gliding through priority lanes. By day 3, he switched to off-the-rack clothes jeans, a hoodie, no accessories. By day 5, he removed his title from booking systems and declined upgrades. The pattern emerged. People who looked important sailed through. Those who didn't were stopped, questioned, or redirected. Marcus, a black man in his late 50s, had lived both sides of that divide. He knew what it felt like to earn access but be judged unworthy. Across the terminal, a man in a crisp suit was waved into the lounge with a smile. "Welcome back, Mr. Carter," the agent chirped. No ID, no pause, just optics. Marcus wrote, "Entry granted, no verification. Visual alignment confirmed." He closed the notebook. Most people didn't know who he was. They knew Horizon Dynamics, the tech behind Skylink, the real-time flight coordination engine used by 68 airports. They didn't know Marcus Tate wasn't just the founder, was the final authority over Ethos Gateway, the ethics compliance system tied to billions in airline investments. He didn't need a badge. He needed evidence. Marcus had funded this summit to observe, not to be seen. For 12 days, he watched. An elderly woman struggling with luggage while a suited man was helped without asking. A young Latina engineer asked to revalidate her boarding pass, while a white man in a blazer was upgraded on the spot. A professor told, "Sir, this isn't the general line," because of his casual shoes. No one shouted slurs, but the message was clear: you don't belong. Marcus rubbed the faint indent on his ring finger, a ghost of the wedding band he wore until his wife's passing 3 years ago. She used to say, "You don't burn the house down to fix the pipes, but you do break the walls." Today, the walls were coming down. He opened his phone, accessing a secure app no one else in the terminal could. A black screen read, "Ethos override. Authorized access only." He didn't act yet. Behind him, the lounge doors hissed open. The same agent approached, all smiles now. "Dr. Tate, I'm so sorry. A system glitch. You're cleared for entry." Marcus looked at her. "Systems don't glitch like that," he said quietly. Her smile faltered. He stood, notebook in hand. "I'll pass." He walked away, toward the terminal's open concourse, toward the first move no one would see coming. At a Starbucks in the terminal, Marcus sipped black coffee, watching travelers rush past. His notebook lay open. Passenger with cane asked to confirm ID twice despite priority status. Black woman in jeans redirected to service line, while white man in similar attire passed. The entries weren't dramatic, but they screamed one truth. Treatment depended on perceived worth, and worth was judged by appearance. A voice interrupted his thoughts. "Mind if I sit?" An older man, late 60s, gray jacket, stood by the empty chair. Marcus nodded. The man, Henry Walsh, a retired logistics consultant, settled in. "Busy summit," he said, glancing at the crowds. Marcus replied, Busier than last year? Henry chuckled. You were here last year? Marcus smiled faintly. Sort of. Henry sipped his coffee. They did it to you too, didn't they? The lounge glance, like you wandered into the wrong room. Marcus leaned forward. Henry shared his own stories: Singapore, Seattle, the same subtle dismissals. He handed Marcus a folded paper, flight numbers, dates, notes on downgrades. I keep records, Henry said. Patterns don't lie. Marcus slid the paper into his notebook. What if the system could be forced to care? He asked. Henry tilted his head. Accountability? Marcus nodded. Exactly. Back in his hotel suite overlooking Lake Michigan, Marcus spread out his evidence. Data logs, handwritten notes, Skylink reports, a tablet showing override patterns across 68 airports. He tapped the screen, zooming into Chicago, Dallas, Miami. Red flags marked manual override staff decisions to deny or re-verify passengers based on visual misalignment. One log from Miami. A first-class passenger re-verified 3 times because she didn't match the profile. Another from Dallas. A man bumped from business class while a non-status passenger was upgraded. The phrase brand-aligned presentation appeared repeatedly. This wasn't a glitch, it was a culture. Marcus opened a secure folder. Inside was a policy he'd drafted 4 years ago, the Passenger Fairness Framework, PFF. It was shelved for being too radical. Now, it was his weapon. He wrote one word on the cover: reactivate. At 3:27 a.m., he logged into the Ethos Gateway dashboard, passing 3 security layers. A list of 68 airports appeared, all green, all compliant. But the data told a different story: disproportionate flagging of older, black, or casually dressed passengers. One name stood out: James Holt, a former director Marcus had promoted, now approving overrides that enforced bias. Marcus paced, his wife's voice echoing. You know it's wrong before you prove it. That's your gift. He sent a message to his COO, Sarah Bennett. Pull Holt's override logs. Cross-reference with ethics scores. Go deep. By dawn, Sarah confirmed. Holt had authorized 47 overrides, 13 targeting high-tier passengers, 9 denied upgrades. Some were investors. Marcus opened the Black Flag Override module, a tool used only twice in Horizon's history. He typed, condition met, executable pending. He didn't activate it, not yet. But the line had been drawn. In Horizon's Manhattan boardroom, the air was tense. Marcus placed a stack of papers before his team: Sarah, COO, David Klein, compliance head, Lisa Chun, ethics director, and Robert Hayes, legal counsel. 47 overrides tied to Holt, Marcus said. 9 investors affected. All fit the same profile: female, black, over 60, or not premium enough. Sarah spoke first. Holt's memo last year: brand presentation efficiency was rolled out without your approval. Marcus nodded. And now it's coding bias into gatekeeping. Lisa streamed the Ethos feed. Green metrics, false compliance. Marcus stood. This is what investors see: growth, trust. But it's a lie. He proposed full PFF enforcement. Freeze non-compliant airlines. Suspend Ethos access. Trace every override. Sarah warned. This could freeze 3/4 of our partners' $1.2 billion in contracts. Marcus met her gaze. They'll respect us more for acting now than for hiding. David hesitated. CEOs will push back. Marcus folded his hands. Let them explain why discriminating against customers was worth losing a $4 billion ethics platform. At 11:46 a.m., PFF enforcement activated. Ethos feeds for 5 airlines: Skyway, Apex Air, Blue Horizon, TransPeak, and Neo Sky went dark. Dashboards blanked. Support lines flooded. Stocks dipped. By noon, a travel blog reported, Ethos feeds down. System failure or ethics purge. Reddit exploded with screenshots of glitched upgrades. Forbes ran. Horizon suspends ethics systems for 5 airlines. $1.2 billion affected. Marcus issued no statement. His silence was the message. In Skyway's Atlanta headquarters, COO Michael Grant fumed. This is worse than we thought. Across from him, Karen Wells, passenger services head, dropped a folder of ignored Ethos flags. Flight 1182, Miami to Chicago, she said. We bumped a Hispanic girl from first class, marked her as economy only. Horizon flagged it twice. We overrode it. Michael bristled. You think Marcus Tate's a saint? Karen stood. He brought data. We brought excuses. She made 3 calls to Horizon's counsel, her ethics team, and Marcus's assistant, Sarah. I'm done hiding, she told Sarah. I want to talk to Marcus. For reckoning. At a Senate hearing, Marcus faced Senator Laura Mitchell. Did you shut down $1.2 billion in airline systems on a whim? She asked. Marcus replied, no. Based on 47 overrides, 13 discrimination events, and internal notes calling passengers not the right look. He displayed logs, Slack chats, one reading, well-dressed but black, double-check first class. The room froze. Marcus presented the PFF charter, real-time override audits, bias detection AI, ESG-linked penalties. Michael Grant, in the audience, shouted, that's extortion. Marcus turned. Skyway denied a disabled veteran boarding for being too slow. I'm enforcing decency. The committee promised a review. 3 airlines signed the charter that day. A year later, Marcus stood at O'Hare's Gate 17, now called Gate T. The PFF Accord was law. Airlines adopted transparent audits, bias-free boarding, and ESG-tied ethics scores. Complaints dropped 41%. The concierge, Mara, who once dismissed him, now escorted him to the lounge. Welcome back, Mr. Tate, she said, unaware he remembered her. Inside, a gate agent whispered to a colleague. They rewrote training after Horizon flagged microaggressions. Game changer. Marcus boarded his flight, seat 2A, unquestioned. As the plane climbed, he looked out. The terminals below ran on his system, rewired for dignity. Marcus declined Global Accolades UN seat, a TED Talk, a presidential dinner. He taught instead, quietly mentoring young engineers to see systems before they're trapped in them. The New York Times called him the man who silenced the skies. He didn't read it. On his couch, he saw a tweet, flew Apex today. No one questioned my first-class seat. Respect for once. He closed his phone. The skies had changed, not with noise, but with just as silent, permanent his. What do you think? Have you ever faced injustice or violence, subtle or overt, because someone judged your worth? Share your stand in the comments. Did Marcus go too far, or was his reckoning overdue? Tell us your perspective you're re-listening.